It is with deep sorrow and sadness in our hearts that we announce the peaceful transition of Frederick Henry, better known as Nelton, of Grand Riviere Dennery. He passed away on Monday, 8th December 2025 at the OKEU Hospital. He was 89 years old, 2 weeks shy of his 90th birthday. He was a former school teacher and a retired farm manager at the then Windband Research Center in Roseau. He also served as a justice of the peace in his community for the past 40 years. He was predeceased by his wife, Dulifa Marie Henry, better known as Editha, his parents, Albert and Lorna Henry. Left to mourn his passing, his son, Cameron Henry, employed with SLASPA, his daughters, Mary Louise Peter of the U.S., Maura Henry, employed with Law Office of Patricia Augustine, Junita Henry, teacher at the Ridgeford Combined School, his grandson, Marcelo Jean, his brother, George Henry of Calgary, his nieces and nephews including Michael Henry, Kaylin Henry, Stephanie Henry and their families of Calgary, children and families of his deceased brother, Fitz Daniel, including Albert Daniel, better known as Hayden of the U.S., Eric Daniel of Calgary, Margaret Daniel of Calgary, Cajetan Clovis, also known as BB, of Toronto, Canada, children and family of his deceased brother, Cadet Henry, including Maximus Innocent of Ridgeford, Martin Chowry of Monrepo, Peter Gaspar of Dennery, Ifea Henry of Redouy, Tassie Henry Herman of the Mon, children and families of his deceased sister, Marie Therese Noel, including Celestine Henry, better known as Chicken, of Montparnasse, Vincent Noel, Justina Noel, who was also his goddaughter, Patricia Richard of Yefo, Jennifer Antoine of Gadet, children and families of his deceased brother, Alexander Henry, including Mark Ernest of Ridgeford, Dr. Sybil Edward, who was also his goddaughter, Alan Ernest in the UK, Louis Ernest of Dennery, Carol Destang of Ridgeford, Margaret Joseph of Monrepo, Tony Samuel, Michael Samuel, Terry Henry, Trevor Samuel, Ingrid Mathre, Chanel Monrose, children and families of his deceased brother, Ferdinand Henry, including Jacqueline Faraday, Gregory Danley Cumberbatch, Aloysius Cumberbatch, Howard Henry, Anderson Henry, Fernanda Henry, family and children of his deceased nephew, Leonard Modeste, children of his deceased nephew, Cletus Daniel, children of his deceased niece, Ethana Antoine, his cousins including children, grandchildren, and families of his deceased uncle, William Henry, including Mariana Hippolyte, also known as Mian, Imelda Thomas, also known as Hisley, Mary Magdalene Henry Best, also known as Lucy, Francis Henry, also known as Tifoy, children and grandchildren and families of his deceased uncle, Louis Daniel of Tomaso, Grand Riviere, and Castries, including Fergus Daniel, Mary Daniel, Jane Daniel, Agatha Daniel, Jean Hippolyte, children, grandchildren, and families of his deceased aunt, Donalise Daniel of Grand Riviere and the U.S., including Lucilla Daniel, better known as Auntie, children, grandchildren, and families of his deceased aunt, Josephine Sylvain of Grand Riviere and the U.S., including Fimber Sylvain. Children, grandchildren, and families of his deceased uncle, Gerard Lucien of Grand Riviere, St. Croix, and the U.S., including Williamson St. Rose, Helen St. Rose, Lucia Lynch, Linus Lorenzen, Francis Lorenzen, Michael Lorenzen, Augustus Lorenzen, Gloria Lorenzen, Marcellus Lorenzen, who was also his godson, Romina Lorenzen, Patricia Randolph. His in-laws including Cuthbert Peter of Cicero, Bernard Peter, also known as Smedley of Pralet, Shane Ja with the Department of Infrastructure, Veronica Nestor and her husband Johnny Nestor of Union, Albertha Peter of Pralet, Rita Henry of Delaye Denry, Mary Henry of Redwy, Mary Robertson of Canada, Cheryl Tapp of Canada. His other godchildren including Macarius Charlemagne, better known as Franz of Vexo, Dr. Dara Modest of the Mon, Magneta Andrew of Mondudon, Margarita Estiva of Guavavine, Philomena St. Rose of Grand Riviere, Norbert St. Hilaire of Grand Riviere, P. Joseph of the USA. Special mention, Emilia Edwin of Grand Riviere, Kendra, Gustave and family of Grand Riviere, Clevis Jules and family of Richford, Father Albert Aaron Smith, Hilary Malcolm and family of Tomaso, Celita Etienne, also known as Tuhut, Mary Prince, also known as Nices, Pamela Lynch and family of Grand Riviere, Mr. Horace Fraser, his former co-workers of Winban, including Mr. Ramin of Miku, Dr. George Little and Dr. David Brathett, his doctors and nurses at OKEU Hospital. Also left to mourn Daniel family of Grand Riviere, Lionel family of Grand Riviere, Bexar and Sarot, Edwin and Mombelli families of Grand Riviere, Girard and Matthew families of Jacmel and Castries, St. Rose and Lynch families of Grand Riviere, Jean Charles families of Grand Riviere and Tiroche, Peter family of Praler, Freeman family of Grand Riviere, Bexar and Canada, Octalien family of St. Croix and the US, Etienne family of Bexar, Benoit and Gaston families of Dennery and Martinique, Damas and Edward families of Guavavine and Den Riviere, several other families and friends too numerous to mention. The funeral service of the late Frederick Henry, better known as Nelton, of Grand Riviere Dennery, will be held on Thursday, January 8th at 2:30 p.m. at the St. Michael's Parish, Larissus. His body will be laid to rest at the Larissus Cemetery. His body now lies at Lazarus Funeral Home with Bouteille Castries. May his soul rest in eternal peace.